at the end of the day, by listening to that over and over, I do feel you won't experience that level of inner peace because of you're not in charge of yourself. All right, where can I relax in my body more? You have more resources available to you than John D. Rockefeller did. And we still have this massive amount of depression, amount of anxiety.
On today's episode, I have a good friend of mine, an amazing man, former Marine, Wim Hof breath instructor, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, just all around badass, but also one of the most gentle, kind, intuitive, amazing people that I've had the privilege of having in my life. I remember the second time I ever did an ice bath with him, and he's just helped me learn so much about becoming in tune and present with where I'm at. Joey Hauss, welcome to the show.
Cody, it's awesome to be here. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Man, this has been a long time coming.
Yes, it has.
We're going to do another one. I'm just going to tease the audience. Me and Joey were talking before the show. We will do another mini podcast inside of an ice bath, right, Joey?
Yes, I love that. And I do think it's an opportunity to really see that you can go through these different struggles, but also at the same time, stay calm, have that place of power within you, and still speak from that place, even though maybe internally there feels like there's a little bit of chaos going on.
You guys hear that? You can already tell this is going to be a good show just by like who Joey is. All right, well, I want to start the show with a question I like to ask a lot of my guests. And Joey, what do you value most in life?
Ooh, I love that. There's a level of, I'd say, like peace and harmony. And like there's an internal dynamic to that, right? There's the macro world peace, which is beautiful, but there is a level of living your life in a certain way that you experience peace, once again, no matter what's going on, your actions, your words, your thought patterns, and then just like the typical things, like how you respond to things and just peace and harmony. And I always, like anytime I'm about to make any kind of big action, is this going to create more of this in my life, in my family's life, for my friends, my communities? So yeah, just really being able to create that, because I do think it starts internally first before we can bring it to an external place, that we're trying to often fix problems from this internal chaos. And we see people that are spinning too many plates that like, oh, I got to fix all these things, and they're creating more chaos. But we can create more of that external piece, but it does start from within.
That's so good. And what led you to pursue that in your life?
I feel that there's always been kind of a desire, a moving to that area. I mean, it started with, I'd say with when I was wrestling, there was something about putting myself into these insanely crazy practices that it's historically one of the hardest sports that you can do, that our practices were intense. I remember in college, the basketball coach, because we were like, our room was right above the basketball court. The basketball coach would threaten the basketball players if they were messing up, like, I'm going to send you to the wrestling practice and you're going to have to go with them, because we run like 8 to 10 mile warm-up runs, and it was followed by calisthenics, drills, wrestling, weights, sprints. It was insanely crazy. And throughout the practice, that like at the beginning, your brain is just, I want to quit. This is insane. Why am I doing this to myself? But eventually you do get to a point where that stops. And I remember being fascinated by that in these practices, like, why do I keep coming back to this thing that I know every single day I'm going to have this internal dialogue, this internal dance of, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. This is crazy. Why am I doing this to myself? But then eventually you do find silence. The brain just gives up trying to tell you to quit. And I just became obsessed looking for that. Where else can I do that? And it was something interesting about, finding that level of peace within that came from looking for a level of external struggle and just being able to kind of stay strong in the struggle, putting yourself into the situation of, this is hard and overwhelming. Oh, but I can do it. I'm still alive. I'm still moving. And eventually the brain just goes, oh, okay, we're good. And it just shuts down. And there's a level of, being able to navigate within that. And so I feel it started with wrestling, moved into the Marine, then jiu-jitsu, and then breath work. And I feel that within all of that, like with the breath work and the ice baths, it was like everything that I did prior to, I really did feel was leading to this moment.
Wow. You said a few things that were so powerful in there. And you mentioned the word obsessed. And anytime I meet somebody that's truly doing amazing work in the world, there's a level of obsession. But what you're obsessed about, it's really interesting, because that fight or flight that we go through, that voice in our head, that wanting to quit, you've become obsessed even from young age of constantly overcoming that. And so few people do that, right? Like few people in the world truly get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I would say that you are almost mastering that in your own life and now taking it to a whole new meaning and level with what you teach and what you do with what we're going to get into. Ever since a little boy, I've been faced with many of those times. There's times in my childhood where I caved into that voice. And there's times in my life that I've overcome that voice. And on the other side of overcoming is typically everything that I want in life.
Yeah.
And every time I think that I got it, I'm still faced with that battle. So I have a question for you. In the obsession of doing this, you know, you want wrestling super hard, like toughest sport, Marines, not easy, super hard, having to push yourself mentally, physically, fighting, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, constantly, like that's wrestling on steroids to a whole new level.
Yeah.
And now to ice baths and Wim Hof instructor. Has it ever gotten easier?
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. So yeah, part of what I ice bath every single day. Like I feel it's a great example because of the fact that I ice bath every day. And yes, there is a difference in the very first time you ice bath and when you've done it thousands of times. However, the beforehand is always the same. Every time before getting into the ice bath, I don't want to do it. There's my body goes.
Note that down, guys. A guy that does this every day, every time before, still has that same feeling that you have of I don't want to do this, but something changes doing it over and over when you are doing it.
Yeah. And so like Tony Robbins even like says this because Tony Robbins has actually been cold plunging forever. It's the first thing he does every morning. And he even says consistently every morning, I don't want to do it, but I do it because it's me telling my brain I'm in charge. And I do think that's it's building the habit of telling our brains, telling our minds, I'm in charge here. I want to dictate how I respond to things. And I don't want to just be reactive to things. And I do think that when you don't get comfortable being uncomfortable, you become reactive and you just kind of get what the world throws at you. And I do think that the great things in life are every single time on the other side of being uncomfortable. If you want to bring in the perfect partner, well, like you do have to talk to people. Talking to people is an uncomfortable thing. If you want to make money, you got to put in the work and make all that stuff happen. If you want to be healthy, you have to put in the time in the gym. You have to eat healthy. You have to move past these internal barriers of, I want to do this, but I know that this is the thing that's better for me. So this is the path I'm going to choose. And the ice baths is every day. Every day is so easy to, I don't need to ice bath today. I don't need to get into this. Why am I even doing this? Ice bath yesterday. I'll do it again tomorrow. Maybe not today. But I also know, no, I want to tell my brain I'm in charge. I don't want to listen to that little voice that at the end of the day, by listening to that over and over, I do feel you won't experience that level of inner peace because if you're not in charge of yourself. There's another thing that's taking the wheel. But I do feel we can plug into, no, I'm in charge. I want to dictate how I handle this life. I want to actively go into challenges so that I can make myself stronger for the challenges that come to me that I'm not actively choosing. And so it's an everyday practice, but every single day, I don't want to do it. The brain knows that this is going to be uncomfortable. Why do I do this? But then every time I go in, immediately it's, okay, this is fine. Oh yeah, this is what this is really about. I can tune into my breathing. I can be aware of my body while I'm initially going through this tension. I can let go of things. I can allow my body to fully relax and surrender into this process.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I think if you want to do great things in this world, you have to discipline yourself to tell your brain that you are in charge.
Yeah.
What I love though about you is there's guys like David Goggins, and I love Goggins. Like he got me through tough times in my life and pushing through and not caving into that voice. But you have a level of not just push through the wall of like, listen to what's going on.
Yeah.
Feel what's going on. And in that, you kept mentioning like peace earlier and chaos. And I remember I went to Catalina Island with a couple buddies last year in October, middle of a storm on jet skis, 30 miles open ocean, camping on, and we like prayed to God that we wanted to find peace in the midst of chaos. And all we got was chaos. Storm hit us. We lost one of our jet skis. It got damaged. These are like $20,000 jet skis. We had to pay for it. Like we were fasting. We were only on water. We didn't have food. We just went through all of this chaotic situation. And we had to find this place of, let's just find peace in this. Everything's going wrong right now, but let's find peace in this. we're actually getting what we asked for. And then I look at that in my own life, in my relationships, in my health, in my business. Every day I'm faced with chaos outside. But if there's that old, I don't know if it's an African proverb, but if there's no enemy outside, the enemy within can do you no harm. No, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do you no harm. I see you as, and just so you guys know, I didn't mention at the beginning, Joey has a company, Breath Hauss. He helps people do this. He holds retreats. He takes people through these experiences and breath work and ice baths and all of these things so they can find their own peace in the midst of chaos. So as we journey into that part of the conversation, Joey, take us through a little bit of how one truly finds peace in the midst of chaos in their life.
And it just takes awareness. And so, how you mentioned before that, there's the David Goggins way of doing things, which is just power through anything. And there's something to be said about that. And it's an uncommon man amongst uncommon men that really does activate all that. But even regular, ordinary people, you can always activate a little bit more, that you can do a little bit better each and every day. And I also feel that there's ways of also improving these different areas of our lives that don't necessarily require all this force, that don't require all this excess energy. As a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu advocate, as somebody who's been training for so long between wrestling and Jiu-Jitsu, there are techniques involved. And yes, strength and size play a role, but at the same time, in getting better at the sport, you start realizing, I can just do things in a better way. I can do things more efficiently and effectively. And in doing that, I can move bigger, stronger opponents just by changing an inch in this direction.
1% change can change the entire trajectory
of everything.
Yeah.
And so I always just try to find how could I create more of that in my life? Where can I adjust the dials? Because I'm a firm believer that a lot of giant changes literally happen with small incremental changes, that you make one small difference of a habit every single day, you'll get more work done. You'll be able to be healthier. You'll be able to achieve a lot more things. And it doesn't require you spending hours and hours every day doing this thing. But if you spend 10, 15 minutes a day doing certain things, I think there was this, it's like 100-hour rule. And over the course of a year, it's about 18 minutes a day. But in any skill you try to acquire, 100 hours will put you above 95% of the planet.
Wow.
And we all have 15, 20 minutes a day to maybe bring awareness to different areas. And for me, so one of those areas is bringing a level of inner peace. How can I bring a little bit more peace into my life? What are daily habits that I can incorporate that will allow me to just feel more peace in my life? And
so why breath work? Why ice baths?
So it's a great question. So I look at breath work as it's an intense form of meditation. It's an active form of meditation that you're actively doing things, allowing the brain to function differently. You're literally quieting down the prefrontal cortex, which is the human thinking part of our brain, which is absolutely amazing. It's a part of our brain that we're the only animals that think about tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. We can set goals and we can see those goals through, but also that part of our brain's the part that maybe makes us a little crazy. We're the only animals we can be in a completely safe environment and feel this intense fight or flight in our body because we're thinking about an email that needs to be sent later today. We're thinking about, do I have enough money to pay this bill? And yet we're in a completely safe room and we're feeling like we're being chased by a wild animal. And a lot of the things that we stress about aren't even real. They're not even things that need to be concerned. Tony Robbins talks about this all the time, that our minds are designed to make us survive. They're not designed to make us happy. That our minds by default will actively look for the problem in the surrounding area that we're in. And I feel that the breath work allows just that to quiet down, even for a little bit, to get out of that constant mental chatter that's always letting us know this can kill you, this can hurt your status. Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you're good enough for this? All the limiting beliefs that we're constantly flooded by all of that every day. And it's because our brains are trying to help us survive, trying to keep things a level of baseline.
Right.
And I feel that the breath work itself allows that to quiet down. I mean, there's so many forms of breath work. One is just allowing the body to go into a deeper, more parasympathetic state so that you are actively able to get your body calm and relaxed. And then other breathwork techniques literally bring you into different brainwave states, allowing things to just shut down a little bit and to experience a deep level of presence, that there's amazing things going on around us each and every moment that we don't, there's the old saying, stop to smell the roses, that we're oftentimes surrounded by amazing things, but we don't look like, oh, that answer to my question that I've been having has been in my room this whole time. that if we just stop and listen for a little bit, it's one of those small little technical things that we can do that we bring in a little bit more of that peace every day. And I do the ice bath because it's a form of putting my body into that fight or flight, putting my body into that panic that really does simulate everything that we worry about happening in the world. We get to feel it, even just for a few seconds. And I do it to remind myself that it's fine, that you can feel all this stress and you don't need to be overwhelmed by it, that you can relax into it, that you can literally find a level of peace and joy and fulfillment within that chaos.
That's so good. I've been through multiple of you running workshops at retreats that we attend. We're both in King's Brotherhood. Shout out to Kings. I'm wearing the hat. I'm wearing the necklace. If you guys wonder why I always wear these, deeper meaning of identity and being connected with brothers like Joey for me, and reminds me of that, helps me show up powerfully. But Joey, I remember, and I told you this before we did the podcast today, that as an adult man, 29 years old, running my business, going through that first workshop with you and going through the breath work was probably the most relaxed I've ever had my body get as an adult man. And when I felt that, like, I was silent afterwards. Like, I know that everyone is sharing this and that. I was in this place of like deep meditation of like, for the first time in my life, I don't want to talk. I just want to feel what I'm feeling, because I felt the stress, the worry, the anxiety, all the tension just completely released. Like all of my muscle fibers, my brain, like everything went to this place that I just remember being like, I have to do this more often. Like, this is the best I've ever felt. And you know, what's cool is I've been through a couple of these with you. Now, if I ever catch myself getting to a place of high stress, I go pull up a YouTube video, or Joey's got an app coming out. I'm going to be using that, or he does different workshops, and I'll get into that place again, and I'll lay down and I'll create a quiet environment, and I'll go through some breath work. And it changed my life, man. And it's interesting because I want to mention something too. I'm a Christian. Everybody knows that. We talk about God a lot. We talk about Jesus a lot on this show. I've heard some Christians attack breathwork and ice baths as it being super spiritual or hippy dippy or against God. I don't agree with that at all, actually. And I don't mind saying that on my show. I believe that God gave us this body, and we have to learn how to control this body that he gave us. And if we don't learn how to control this body that he gave us or take care of it, then the world's going to conform it, and we're going to go through a lot. So I just want to put that on the record, because I actually think more Christians probably need to go through some breath work and ice baths. So just want to say thank you for that experience, man. And for people that have never done breath work, never done an ice bath, what would you say to them?
And so it's so interesting that, you mentioned that just going into it, allowing yourself to feel so relaxed. And it is this reminder that all the different things that we try to achieve externally, the places we try to travel, the bringing a loved one into our lives, just the trying to make more money, it's all of us trying to take external experiences to create an internal experience. That's why we love doing the things we do, because of how we feel when we do it. The beautiful thing about breath work is that you can just access all of that immediately.
Wow.
Meditation allows you to experience these things, but I do think that breath work just really amplifies that experience and allowing a level of deep peace. And that's why we want to do a lot of the things we want to do. We want to feel that ability of that, feel that peace. We want to experience that experience of love and joy and excitement. And you literally can access all these different things all the time. You're literally accessing these different hormones that are coming through. The ice bath spikes your dopamine levels. It's literally to the exact amount that cocaine does. And it's not to, put cocaine on this pedestal. Doing drugs is bad, but at the same time, why do people do it? To create an internal experience.
Because they want to feel a certain way internally.
And that you can access these things without any of the external, without any of the drugs. And the truth is that not just drugs, but a lot of the things that we do, are drugs. The way we eat is a drug. How we use our cell phones and technology.
Dopamine hit, serotonin.
How we as men, how we sometimes treat women can be a drug. And it's all just trying to access this deeper internal state that you literally can create internally. And I also think that it's no coincidence, because you even mentioned biblically that not even just biblically, but within so many different spiritual traditions, the word for breath and the word for spirit are the same.
Wow.
In Hebrew, it's ruach. And there's prana, there's chi. There's so many different spiritual traditions that use the exact same word of breath and spirit. It even says in the Bible that God breathed life into us.
That's how man came to life. He breathed into his nostrils.
It's the Spirit of God.
Yeah.
And that we can access a level of that. We can access that deep level of peace. And I also feel that part of being spiritual in any way, whether it's religious or spiritual, part of that means accessing your higher self. As people of faith, it is about trying to act in this world as God would act as human form. And being able to do that successfully is being able to access your breath. If you get into a car accident, somebody hits your car, there's maybe the initial reaction of this person, that all the fight or flight, all the anger that comes through us. But in order to access a better way of handling the situation, you do need to stop. Hey man, are you okay? Like that, you can access a different version of yourself by accessing your breath, by changing that nervous system state, by quieting the story that's going on in your mind. And so that there's so many different tools available that you're literally accessing your higher self by being more aware of your breath, that you can be more present, more in the world around you and less in your head by making it a point to be a little bit more focused on how am I breathing in this moment. Most people tend to breathe short and shallow, and people don't realize that it's a bi-directional thing, that you can envision if you go into an ice bath that your breathing will become short and shallow. You get into that fight or flight state breathing. But what people don't realize that throughout the day, most people tend to breathe short and shallow. If you're living in a Western society, chances are you sit behind a desk working for a long period of time. Maybe you're in your car for a long period of time throughout the day. So most people are just short, shallow chest breathing. So most people's default, we live in the 21st century where we have access to the most amazing technology. If you are lower middle class, you have more resources available to you than John D. Rockefeller did. And we still have this massive amount of depression, amount of anxiety. And the truth is that because of people do tend to breathe short and shallow. And so they're just in this fight or flight stage trying to do things to stop that internal feeling, but they don't realize they're trying to mask it with external things that's also eventually creating
what
more
you just
of that.
said was so key, that we're in a fight or flight state and we're trying to do external things to solve an internal problem.
Yeah.
And it's like a rat wheel.
Yeah.
And you're saying, go solve the internal and the external will fall in place.
100%.
And one of the best tools to do that is just breathing.
Just breathing. Breathing, bringing more awareness into your body, that the stress response it's a whole experience. How's my body breathing in this moment? What am I doing with my body?
Yeah.
And it's cold and stress it's the exact same physiological response. If you imagine yourself being freezing cold or imagine yourself being totally freaked out by something, how are you breathing? What are your shoulders doing? What does your stomach feel like? It's all the same stuff. And within all of that, you can be in a fight or flight state. You can be in an ice bath and you can relax everything. You can make your breathing fuller and deeper. And by just bringing more awareness to that day to day, you can respond to the challenges that life throws at you significantly better just by making that small incremental change, just by being a little bit more aware of how you're breathing each and every day.
Yeah. And you've said awareness multiple times, and the power of awareness, right? I think most people aren't even aware of physiologically what's going on in their body. I know I wasn't. I know still I'm not a lot. And it's like having that self-awareness of I can actually tell my body and force it to change a physiological state. You know, I got the text message from the upset client or the upset significant other, or something bad happened to a family member, right? Immediate fight or flight. Yeah. Like you could probably break down for us when that happens. But in that moment with self-awareness, I could actually change my breathing and change the way that my body responds to that, right?
Yeah.
Then putting me in a better place of decision making even. Because one of the things that's big for me is I don't like to make decisions, and I think you hit on this, in that state. Mm-hmm. Like when I'm in a fight or flight state, unless I have to, right? Like the body is designed for survival. There are moments where, you know, if someone's trying to harm me or something, there is a fight or flight state that kicks in that I'm very glad that my body has a reaction to. But when it comes to things in life that I can pause and then course correct and really think about it, I think most people don't know how to do that. So like, what would you recommend to that? Because I think a lot of us throughout the day get so anxious and so stressed and so thrown into fight or flight when something comes at us that we didn't expect.
Yeah.
What would you advise? Because I know this will be powerful. Like this will be a tip someone can walk away with on this podcast and be like, I'm going to go start using that today.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of like mnemonic devices. I feel they allow things to enter our brain and stay there in an easier way. And I have a friend, Dr. Kim Duramo, and she talks about it just being the ABCs. A being awareness, B being your breathing, and then C being the choices that you can make from that state. And for me, it's just day to day, I try to make it a point to be aware of my breathing. Anytime I'm driving my car, if I'm going through things, I've made it a point to just bring enough awareness to my breathing day to day that even when I just feel like, oh, like I'm feeling stressed, but it's not connected to anything. Oh, wait, how's my posture right now? How am I breathing? So many things in our body are bidirectional. There's even studies that if you put a smile on your face for about 7 seconds, it tells the brain, oh, I guess we're happy.
Yeah.
Your brain releases those endorphins. You start to feel happier. Power poses is no different. How you hold your body is very important. And how you breathe is very important. And so just making it a point every day, even if it is within a 10-minute meditation, because some people don't like meditation because it feels like they're doing it wrong. There's so many ways of doing it. And the truth is that even if you just decide to sit there for 10 minutes, closing your eyes and not even doing anything, just I'm going to make the commitment to just sit here and let what happens, because you're going to start to notice that your mind and body go like, oh, I need to be doing other things right now. And just allow that to come because of your brain is constantly creating these scenarios that like I should be active in doing things. And I do think that it's important to, actively be doing things in our lives. But Abraham Lincoln always says, you give me 5 hours to chop down a tree, I'll spend the first 3 sharpening the axe. And I do think that our time within meditation, our time within whatever little daily, and it doesn't have to be long, 10 minutes of just, I'm going to consciously bring awareness to how am I breathing? And if you do that every day, even for just for 10 minutes, what you're going to start to notice is throughout the day, you're going to, oh yeah, like I'm driving in my car right now. I can do extra time of being aware of this. Oh, whoa, there's something going on I feel stressed. Let me just try to breathe into that. Oh, wow, a crazy thing just happened. I got into a car accident. I got bad news. A situation has occurred. Let me just take maybe 5-10 breaths, maybe take 5-10 minutes that you can just get your body to relax. And when you go into that state of your body being relaxed, you're going to see that new choices start to present themselves. When we're in a fight or flight state, everything narrows. When you're being chased by a wild animal, you don't need to assess all the different things. It's just, oh, I need to get out of this vicinity. My awareness needs to narrow down and I need to just survive this. But most of us don't go into these fight or flight states because of a real survival. If it is, that's once again, as you said, that it's an amazing thing that our bodies are so capable of. Danger is happening. I have the internal tools. My body knows what it needs to do in order to survive. But most of the stress that most people deal with, especially in Western society, is not life or death.
Yeah.
It's everyday things. And so that awareness starts to narrow.
And we often make it so much worse than it is by allowing our body to go there. So could you share with us some tips on breath work? So like what's a simple breath work that we could all do throughout our day? So I'm sitting at my computer desk, an email came through that immediately triggers fight or flight.
Yeah.
What do I do?
So like when I teach any breathwork workshops, before even getting into any advanced techniques, I always go into basic breathing mechanics, because what most people do, as I said, short, shallow breathing. Most people, when they breathe, if you ask a typical person to take a deep breath, what you'll often see is the shoulders come up, but like these aren't breathing muscles up here. What most people don't do is breathe into their belly. Our diaphragm is our biggest of our breathing muscles, and most people don't breathe into there. Most people don't even have like the awareness to be able to just naturally do it. So even, if you're just listening to this at home, if you take your hand and place it on your belly and kind of give a little bit of resistance, now I'm going to offer you to breathe through your nose and try to push up against those hands, just kind of opening that area in your body. You're going to see that it's going to become a little bit more natural to bring that breath into the belly. And then you can just give a soft, gentle, almost like you're flexing your abdominal muscles, like to help the diaphragm relax. If you can get full deep exhales, then you're going to see that it's going to become easier and easier to get full deep inhales. And you can also start breathing in other places. You can put a little bit more pressure on your hand on your chest and try pushing up against the hand on the chest. And then same thing with the exhale. Nice gentle squeeze of the belly, flexing those abdominal muscles. You can take your hands, put them on your ribs. And you're going to see that your body can also open up almost horizontally. The individual ribs open up. We have our intercostal muscles. And then if you have a partner, you can actually have one person put their hand against your back, breathing into it. So now we have the awareness that we can breathe into much more of our body. Now with that, recognize that you can take full, deep inhales without using a lot of force or effort. Once again, as a fan of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I'm all about the technicality of things, that you can do things with a little more awareness, with a little more technique, and you can be effective using significantly less effort and energy. So with that, trying to get about a 5 to 6 second inhale, but filling up all those different breathing muscles. You're going to see that you can breathe into these different areas of your body, and that you don't need to, right? You ask sometimes people to take a full deep breath and you'll see like they're using all this force and effort and it's only going into their chest, but you can do it softly and gently. And if you take 10, 20 of those breaths, it'll take you maybe a minute or two, and getting just these full deep breaths, you're going to see your body will naturally go into that parasympathetic rest and digest nervous system state. And then from there, you can also like increase that interoceptive awareness, that awareness of what's taking place in the body, because where we breathe requires that interoceptive awareness. And then you can just kind of follow that. Like, all right, where can I relax in my body more? Because of once again, that stress, it creates tension everywhere. You can actively like relax different areas of your body. And then sometimes I'll do like an internal body scan going from my toes all the way up to my head and just allowing everything to relax a little bit more. And then you're going to see that you can almost turn on the relaxation button.
Wow.
Just through your breathing and that interoceptive
And you can access this at any time. Doesn't cost you anything.
Nothing.
That's amazing. I love that. And I feel more relaxed just now, just you like walking me through that little bit, those couple deep breaths I took. But then there's another kind of breathing, and it's my favorite kind, Wim Hof breathing. You are a certified Wim Hof instructor. For those that don't know what Wim Hof breathing is, can you explain it to us?
Yeah, so it's essentially a breathing technique that's actually designed to what we just kind of did. There's breathing techniques that will bring you right into a parasympathetic rest and digest nervous system state.
And for those that don't know, parasympathetic, that is?
You're like the nervous system state of rest and digest, allowing the body to relax a little bit more fully and deeply. And from that state, awareness opens up where it's not just so narrowed down, which goes into like the awareness breathing choice that you can make better decisions. The Wim Hof Method, and there's other breathing techniques. There's circular breathing. There's holotropic breathing. There's so many different breathing techniques that actually you purposefully go into the sympathetic or the fight or flight nervous system state. And then with the Wim Hof breathing, you actually go deep into fight or flight and very deep into rest and digest. They've had people do the Wim Hof Method breathing. In an MRI, they found that their adrenaline levels go up to about the levels of a person getting ready to bungee jump. So that you're purposely adding, but it's a hormetic stress. There's also a misconception that stress is this horrible thing, but the body thrives on stress.
Right.
But it's conscious stress that's over shorter periods of time, where Western culture, we stay in chronic stress all day long, worrying about these situations that may or may not occur. Versus when you work out, you're putting stress on your body. When you are making difficult decisions, you are also expanding your ability to handle a little bit more stress. And so when we do the Wim Hof breathing, it's a hormetic stress. You're kind of breaking down the body. You're kind of taxing the immune system, but also allowing these things to build themselves back up in a stronger way. It's part of why the ice baths are so great for your immune system. You shouldn't do it if you maybe are dealing with like a cold or anything like that, because it does tax the immune system, but then it allows it to build itself back up stronger. And so, with the Wim Hof breathing, you go deep into that fight or flight state by doing these kind of shorter, more forceful breaths, but then also we incorporate breath holds, which then allow the body to go deep into that rest and digest nervous system state. So we're giving it that hormetic stress, but also in playing in these different nervous system states, eventually the mind completely quiets down. You start going into those different areas of the brain, and you do get to experience this deep level of inner peace as that mental chatter literally goes away. It's not even just that you're relaxing your body more. You're literally shutting down a part of the mind, which, as I said, at times is great, but also day to day is the part that allows us to be in that kind of stressed out state, worrying about everything in our environment. We allow that to shut down, and we really do get to experience just presence, the things that are going on around us. And it's so interesting to notice that when we just kind of get out of that mind and when we're just fully present, it is a spiritual experience, just being fully in the moment without this internal thing taking place, that people have these giant either spiritual experiences. I've had people find just an ability to find peace in gigantic tragedies that have happened in their lives. And it all comes from just kind of getting to be in that space of peace.
And we do this with a group full of men. And I have to say that you'll see men release.
Yes.
That haven't released for maybe even decades.
Yeah. Grown
men crying their eyes out. Grown men just releasing something that emotionally that they've held on to for decades. I've experienced that. Wim Hof breathing helped my body release things that I didn't even know I was holding on to. And it's so powerful. But on top of that, I feel like there's an emotional healing that came through breath work. There was a physiological healing that came through breath work. And there was even a mental healing that came through breath work. And you see it in these workshops.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah. And as I said, just being able to access these different parts of the mind. The mind is a beautiful, powerful thing, but also it does create a lot of the chaos in our lives, and to be able to be the master of it instead of it being the master of us. And it does require tools and techniques to be able to access that a little bit more. And I found breath work to just be such a powerful one.
And Wim Hof, like, there's a lot of health benefits to this.
Yes.
Like, tell us a little more into the health benefits. I know Wim Hof, he's really proven a lot of this on himself. And they even did that test on him, and they gave him some kind of virus or bacteria, and they studied his body as he put it into that fight or flight state. Tell us a little more of the physiological benefits that we're seeing from this type of breath.
Yeah, so like it's the Routbout study that you're talking about, because Wim Hof was doing all these really cool things. He climbed into the death zone of Mount Everest wearing just shorts and shoes. He I think he ran, it was a half marathon in the Arctic barefoot, ran a full marathon in the desert with no water. And the scientific community just thought he was an anomalous person. Like, just not everyone can do the things that he does. But he was adamant, one, that he can control his autonomic nervous system, including his immune system, and two, that he can also show people how to do this. And so to prove him wrong, they brought him to Radboud University, injected him. It was an endotoxin. It was, I believe it was E. coli, and with the expectation that he would get violently ill. But he did the breath work, and no signs, no symptoms. He said he had a headache for about 10 minutes. And once again, the scientific community just thought, well, you're an anomalous person. Every now and then there come people that can just become extraordinary just on their own. And he goes, no, I can show other people how to do this. So they had a group of 12 people that worked with him, and then a group of 12 that were used as a control. The group of 12, same thing. They all did the breath work, injected them with the endotoxin. There were no signs, symptoms whatsoever of anyone in the main group. And then they brought in the control group, and every single person got pretty ill from being injected with E. coli. And their reward was they got to work with Wim after the fact. But it is as we access these different nervous system states that the innate immune response just it reacts. And so that things like E. coli really just don't stand much of a chance. And also we bring our body to a more alkaline state, so it functions better. We're literally producing more ATP, more energy in our body. So from a physiological standpoint, we're doing something phenomenal in our body. We're oxygenating the cells. And then also, once again, we're quieting the mind, allowing these emotions to be released as we access these different parts of the mind. And it really is a whole mind, body, spirit thing. Just in all you have to do is focus on your breathing for a little bit.
It's amazing. I don't know if it'd be possible, but could we do a mini Wim Hof sesh on the podcast right now?
Yeah.
You walk us through it?
Yeah.
I know you have to do the breathing too, but I'll follow your lead.
Sure.
Maybe like a round or two.
Yeah. So here, this is what I'll do. I'll take my phone out because it'll also incorporate a breath hold. And as far as the breath holds go, also I need to give the disclaimer, never doing any of the Wim Hof breathing or any of the breath holds while you're doing anything other than either sitting or laying in one space. So don't do this if you're in a body of water, if you're near a body of water, if you're driving a car, flying an airplane, operating a forklift. But it's going to be pretty simple. You're going to take a full deep inhale. You can use your nose or your mouth. Using the mouth allows the experience to go a little bit deeper. Using the nose allows it to be a little gentler, so whatever you want. But it's just a full deep inhale, trying to fill up belly, ribs, back, and chest, all in about a second and a half. So and each exhale, just letting go. We don't want to prolong it. We don't want to cut it off, so we don't want to hyperventilate. But just fully in, letting go. Yeah, and I'll let you get lost in that breathing rhythm. We'll do about 30 repetitions. So yeah, just keep going, Cody. Fully in, letting go. Beautiful. Just keep going like that. Just noticing how your body's breathing, noticing any tension in the body, allowing it to relax. Beautiful. And just, and also noticing where in your body you're breathing. We'll do about 10 more. Nice, easy breaths like this. Nice. 5 more. 3 more. And on this next breath, take a full deep inhale, a full deep exhale, 1 full deep exhale, a full deep inhale, letting go of the exhale and holding your breath at the end of that exhale. And we'll start with just a minute. We'll see where you're at in a minute. But this is also where the body does go into that deep rest and digest nervous system state. And while you're holding your breath, noticing the heart rate starting to slow down, seeing if you can even feel where in your body that heart rate is, feeling your heart beating in your chest, seeing if you can also relax and let go within your body a little bit more, noticing maybe any tension in the toes, feet, the legs, the torso, arms, hands, fingers, neck, and head, and just allowing it to relax even more. Yeah, and if once you need to take that breath, it was about 45 seconds, maybe getting a full deep inhale, holding your breath for about 30 more seconds, taking this time once again to relax in the body, just releasing any tension. This is a deep opportunity of going into that interoceptive awareness, that awareness of what's taking place in the body, seeing where can I relax a little more, where can I let go a little bit more. And that's about 30 seconds. You can release that exhale, breathe normally, and even just taking a moment of just feeling in your body, seeing what feels a little more relaxed, just noticing the energy difference in our bodies.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we did that in how much time?
It was about 45 seconds of a breath hold, maybe about a minute of breathing, so maybe 2 minutes.
Wow. Guys, I feel just so much more relaxed, so much more grounded. That was amazing. I wanted to, on the show, do a small demonstration of like the power of breath work.
Yeah.
It's cool when we really go into the Wim Hof. I mean, you've had me hold my breath for over 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And I did struggle a little bit on this one. I feel like I don't know what happens when you do the Wim Hof, but when you take it deep, like you don't even realize time. It just like disappears.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a difference of laying down versus sitting because you don't have to use any energy to hold your body up. And then once again, we did maybe a minute of breathing or so, where in a workshop, sometimes I'll do 4 to 5 minutes of breathing and definitely take things a little deeper. The breath holds go a little deeper. Everything obviously happens at scale.
Yeah, that's amazing. So guys, I highly encourage you, go follow Joey, go get connected with him as well. For people that are like, man, this is amazing, I want to learn more. And we'll have you also plug up at the end of the show, but like, where can they go find out more about how to do this and learn from you?
Yeah, just Joey, JOEYHAUSS.com. We're going to have our Breath Hauss app available soon.
Let's go.
And yeah, just because I do feel I love being able to teach workshops, and every time that doing it one time, especially going nice and deep, you will have an experience. But just once doing a thing consistently every day is where you're going to start seeing changes in your life. You're going to start noticing that you make different decisions that you typically make. You're going to start noticing that you can relax a lot more of the times when you feel stressed in your body, that you will just become more naturally aware of, oh, like I'm feeling stressed. Oh, because I've been breathing short and shallow. Let me change that up. And it just requires doing anything consistently. But what I love about it is you do it once and you already have an experience from there.
Yeah, that's amazing. So one side of this is breath work, and the other side of it is ice baths and constantly putting that body. And even in Wim Hof, we definitely do experience fight or flight.
Yeah.
Like in the hold, you definitely do. But then you take people through this deep experience of like an ice immersion where you go into water that's 30 something degrees and your entire body's like, hey man, what are we doing here? We're going to die. Get me out of here.
Yeah.
And I've seen people completely freak out, and you take them through where they breathe through it. And when they got in the water, they didn't think they'd last 10 seconds and they go 2-3 minutes in this ice. Why? Tell us more about ice baths. And I mean, we've talked a little bit already into it, but I know there are people listening to this that are like, I want to do breath work. I want to go in an ice bath. How could you maybe in a little bit here prepare somebody that wants to do that?
Yeah. And so once again, it all stems in being aware of your breathing, being aware of your body's natural stress response, and activating the ability to just reverse engineer it. When you feel stressed, your body breathes a certain way, it tenses a certain way. And that even outside of the ice bath, you can just bring a little bit more awareness. Oh, like, let me relax my body a little bit more. Let me make my breathing a little more full and deep. And the ice bath is just that, like when you meditate, the reason people don't like to meditate is that you go through the ebbs and flows of the different energies that take place throughout the day. And that's why most of us do distract ourselves with different things, whether it's food, our phones, just the different things that we do that we can create addictions out of literally anything. And a part of that is because of, the different energies that we experience throughout the day are often difficult. We sometimes feel a little worried or sad or angry. And so even just sitting in meditation for 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to go through those ebbs and flows of anxiety, a little bit of sadness, all of it. And the ice bath just amplifies all of that. You feel it is an intense, and like the only word I can use is energy, because of, yes, there's the fight or flight that's involved. Yes, it is, you can say uncomfortable, but the truth is you just become super aware of all the different things taking place in your body, that you just become aware of all the different sensations, external and internal. And first off, it's just being able to ride that wave for 30 seconds. For 30 seconds, you are probably going to be in a pretty deep fight or flight state. And so for some people, the ability to control the breathing doesn't happen until after 30 seconds. But if you're trying to just gain a little bit of control of that breathing beforehand, it's going to be on the exhale, being able to, because you'll get in the ice bath and short, deep inhales create short, deep exhales, and then the feedback loop just continues. But if you can put together even just little bits of a long, deep exhale, as you start to put together those fuller, deeper exhales, it'll be easier to put together fuller, deeper inhales. And once you put together 2 or 3, your body's going to start to go into that parasympathetic rest and digest nervous system state. And then you're just going to be, okay, I just feel cold. That it doesn't come with all the baggage of anxiety that we kind of put with the experience of being cold. Just be like, got it. I feel a little bit of numbness, a little bit of discomfort in different areas of my body, but I am fine. I don't need to freak out in this experience. And it usually doesn't take longer than 30 seconds. And then once you get past that, you're going to see you can relax in there. And for some people, maybe you don't have access to an ice bath, although it is very simple. On our blog, we made a blog post that really shows people how to get chest freezers, how to seal them up, how to turn them into ice baths. But even if you don't have access to that, if you're not in an area like Los Angeles or San Diego, you can always do cold showers. Cold showers in San Diego and LA during summer is going to be a little bit more difficult, but there's areas where you can do it. And even so, even if you get the water down to like the 60s, you'll get a little bit of those cold water benefits, and it'll force you to use your breathing to stay calm in the situation. But yeah, once you get past that 30-second point, you're going to notice you can relax into it. And also keep in mind you're doing something great for your body. It reduces inflammation. It's great for the cardiovascular system. It's great for your immune system. Yeah. It helps your digestive system. That so many things are just helped in this, and you can do it in 2 minutes. 2 minutes, you get all these different benefits.
I was going to ask that, like the recommended time, 2 minutes, you get the benefits out, right?
So in an ice bath, so the water, like right temperature to time ratio, in an ice bath that you can get to about 33 degrees, which is what we typically work with, 2 minutes. 2 minutes, you get essentially all the health benefits of being in there. And then if you go to something like different spas have cold plunges that are usually 50 to 55, and that's usually about 5 to 6 minutes to get all the cold immersion benefits.
That's amazing. I love that. I also love the other side of when I get out of the ice bath. There's this feeling of reward. It's almost like proving that I'm in charge, you're not, brain. And that wasn't as bad as I thought it would
Yeah.
be. There's this feeling when you get out of that water, guys, that's just like, and I've watched so many people do it because I've watched you do so many of these. I mean, people that have never done an ice bath in their life, literally freaking out beforehand. I get to hear them talk more than you do because they ain't going to come up to you and say it all the time. They're like, I'm not doing this, they're freaking out. And they go through and they breathe. And they stay in this like freezing cold 34 degree, 35 degree water, and they get out and they're like, oh my God, I never thought I could do that. And there's this level of where else in my life am I facing things that are uncomfortable that if I just breathe through them and I endure through them, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. So for me, dude, that's why I like ice baths personally. I love all the health benefits, but life gets tough. We face our own ice baths in life. And at times it's like, oh, I've been through worse. Oh, Joey's made me sit in freezing cold water and I breathed through that and I didn't die. I can breathe through this.
Yeah. I also think that we are naturally rewarded for doing difficult things, that you do get an endorphin release from working out. And the ice bath is no different. The 2 minutes, as I said before, that you get that dopamine spike. So you get the reward of like,
the body does reward you for sure. You feel good.
And also like dopamine is a phenomenal neurotransmitter because of the fact that, right, we can create that kind of negative connotation because we know that, looking at our Instagram, doing these things give us that dopamine boost. But dopamine, it's like a move to action hormone. It makes us, I want to do more of this. And so getting into the ice bath, you creates a level of motivation within you. Like, I want to take on more things. And the fact that it's a thing that's good for you at the same time.
And did I hear you right a while ago that you committed to doing an ice bath every day this year?
Just about, yeah. Like unless I'm traveling or anything like that. But even most of the time I'm traveling is to do workshops, so we're still doing it. But if I'm not traveling, if I'm just at home or I'm traveling for a workshop, I'm always doing an ice bath, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. I love that. You've kind of challenged me to go get the freezer, set it up, and do one, and try to do one every morning. I would try first like a 30-day sprint of let's do one every day for 30 minutes. Who else wants to join me? 30-day ice bath challenge. We'll tag Joey. The last thing before we wrap up here, you're doing some deep work at retreats. And I want to give an opportunity for you to talk about that. There are people that want to go beyond the workshop, that want to go to a full immersion of a retreat, of an experience. Can you tell us more what you're doing in the retreat world?
Because a workshop is 1 day immersion. It's usually like 4 or 5 hours. But in the retreats, it's an opportunity to connect deeper into the breath work. And then I have different retreats. One is just like a full-on breath work immersion experience that we do breath work multiple times throughout the day. And then I also have other retreats. We work with plant medicines, things like that, and just allow for people that are looking for things in that realm to go a little bit deeper with it. But it's just an opportunity to really supercharge your ability to connect into that breath work more and more often. Because as I said, you do it one time, you're going to have an experience. And so the question that we get asked most often is like, how do I maintain this? The app or our online components, one thing, but when we do a retreat, it really is that deep supercharge. You've already done so much breath work that it becomes easier and easier to make it a habit. Sometimes that's all we need is just kind of a moment of supercharging what we want to do. Like, I'd like to do this for a period of time. If you just take a weekend and fully immerse yourself in it, you're going to feel a lot more inspired to do it the very next day and just keep that wheel going.
So how can we find out more about the retreats?
Yeah, just all on my website, joeyhauss.com, joeyhauss.com.
joeyhauss.com. Guys, go check that out. Go check out what Joey's doing. And then on social media, you've really stepped up your content game. I'm really
because
proud
of you. Yeah.
I was telling Joey and Lindsay a while ago, you guys got to put content out. Just capturing even it doesn't do it justice. It never will without actually being through the experience, but capturing as much of that as you can to share with people because people need to know more about this. That's why I was so stoked to have you on the show. I'm like, we're going to get to talk about something that I've gotten so much benefit from and I want others to hear about. So what are the social handles to follow you?
Yeah, so I'm Joey, JoeyHauss on just about everything. On Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on TikTok, I'm Joseph, JOSEPH, HAUSS.
Are you on Threads yet?
I just came out, yesterday or the day
before?
before?
Yeah, Threads just came out 2 days ago, guys.
Still
get on
trying
Threads.
to figure it out, yeah.
We're going to get you on it today. I'm going to help you guys set it up. Get on there. You can send us out some, it's not tweets anymore, it's Threads.
Got it.
Keep us on the updated. But yeah, guys, go connect with Joey. He's amazing. And Joey, before we wrap up here, I always like to leave space. anything else that's on your heart that you want to share with us?
No, I feel I've gotten to, share a lot of what I'm very passionate about, which is the power of your own breath. The fact that you can connect to something very deeply just in how you breathe, how you tune into your body. And I feel that it's such a thing that can make a huge difference in your life if you just make that time to connect to you. Whether you are spiritual, religious, even if like that time you take for yourself also allows you to connect to God, allows you to connect to your spouse in a different way, your children in a different way, your colleagues, your community. And it really is just, you can do so much within 10, 15 minutes a day of just connecting into your breathing, connecting into your body, allowing yourself to go into that deeper, more relaxed state. And you're going to start seeing that you make different choices each and every day that are more deeply aligned with who you want to be. And so, I've gotten to share a lot of that with you all today.
Man, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Joey. We are going to do a mini one in an ice bath, guys, and we'll do some breath work. I'm so stoked for it. So keep an eye out for that. But until then, go connect with Joey and just remember the power of your breath.
Yeah.
Go make today great.
Appreciate it.